Hey guys, it's Danny. Alrighty, today we're gonna work a little bit on a Catasetum orchid, and it's not a maintenance action, it is pretty much an intervention. So I think you can already see what's the problem with my Catasetum. And by the way, this is the Cycnodes Wine Delight. We have a yellowing pseudobulb here, and I'm suspecting that we are dealing with an infection. So today I will just have to bother this orchid and remove the pseudobulb because I fear the infection will spread to the good pseudobulbs. I feel like this is the most common problem you'll have with Catasetum orchids. It doesn't mean it is very common, but from what I see with other people, eventually if you grow them long enough, you will have some yellowing or rotting pseudobulbs on this orchid at some point. And moreover, this is not the only pseudobulb that's withering away. There used to be another one here about a few months ago, which started to yellow and completely died off. So I just thought, well, maybe it's an old pseudobulb. I just removed it from the orchid and I didn't disturb it further. Now, if it were just an old pseudobulb dying off, the problem would have stopped there. But as you can see, 2 months later, I have the same issue with this pseudobulb. So I feel that we need to make a proper cut because I don't trust that I completely remove the infected tissue from the other pseudobulb. I need to disturb this orchid, but it's okay. It's almost dormancy time. The flowers are almost spent. I can cut away the flower spikes. So I should be pretty okay with my timing. Usually these orchids, if they're disturbed, let's say in the middle of growth period, it might not end well. They might not take it so well. But right now it's dormancy time, so we can start working on the Catasetums. So the first thing I will do is just unpot this orchid because I want to see what's going on. I want to see if I have some root issues. And just a little PS, look at the pseudobulb of this year. It grew so much larger and better than the other pseudobulbs. So yeah, that fertilizer really paid off. It was just a little bit excessive. There we go. I don't think that the issue started from the roots. The roots are not rotten. You might already know that I over-fertilized and I did lose quite a few roots, but at the time I cut them off. I cleaned the orchid. I made sure that everything is as fresh as possible. So as you can see, we cannot say we're dealing with rotten roots. The infection might have started somewhere on the older bulb that I removed and spread to this one. So right now I will try to preserve as many roots as possible. My Catasetum orchids do kind of drink water in the winter as well, some of them, in the sense that they don't take a proper dormancy. Yet again, some of them, the hybrids, not all of them. And this is one of them that I do want to keep a few good roots, the latest roots to be more exact, so I'm not gonna cut everything. Alrighty, I removed enough medium to see what I'm doing, and let me just show you where the previous pseudobulb used to be. Do you see this little black hole here? Yeah, I just twisted it and pulled it off. And I tried to apply a bit of cinnamon here, but I don't think it was enough. So for this cut, I want to make things a lot prettier. And actually, I will cut it flush, not twist it out. And I think this is good timing because the base is still green, so it's not mushy and gross. So hopefully the infection didn't go there. So first and foremost, I just want to separate this bulb a little bit just so I can see where I need to do the cut. I think I can do this with my pruners, which is sitting in alcohol right now. I'm gonna flame it, properly sterilize it, and come back when I'm done. And first of all, I will cut more into the affected bulb. Just because the rhizome is so tiny, I don't really see where to cut, and I don't want to destroy this bulb. So first of all, okay, so this would be a very bad cut because what I did is just cut the pseudobulb. I didn't necessarily cut the connection. So this is a very big open wound right here, which is prone to being infected. And by looking at it, you can see I do have a bit of infection here. So I'm just gonna go sterilize my pruners once again just because and make another cut. Alrighty, we're back, and to clarify, just because I feel safer. It's not gonna harm the orchid if you sterilize your cutting tools in between cuts. And with some fungal infections, such as Fusarium, it is actually recommended that you do this. So there you go, it just makes me feel better that I eliminated whatever infection might have been here. So now what I wanna do is start to cut the roots until I reach the rhizome. Oh, there we go. I think, yeah, I cut the rhizome, and together with this base of a pseudobulb, many roots will be separated as well. They were already dead. Catasetum orchid roots don't last all that long. In my experience, they can last for about 2 years or so. When people repot Catasetum orchids, some of them just completely cut the root system, while others keep a few good roots that were produced the previous year. I'm in the second category. I like to maintain a few roots just in case, but not a whole lot of them because I know they are not going to survive. See, this is a completely dead root. Alrighty, let's take a look at this wound. It doesn't look pretty, does it? Does it have a purple ring? I don't think it does. I cannot tell. I'm not entirely sure about this portion right here. So because I did have quite a few cases of fusarium in my collection, there is a chance that this orchid has fusarium as well. However, though, the orchids that I still kept that had fusarium, whether I tried to remove the infected portions or I just, I don't know, cared for them better, not stress them and let them deal with the disease, they're all pretty much doing okay. My collection is stable now. I did not observe any new cases of fusarium. I don't share water, but of course, fungal spores can travel through the air. I don't know, it's a bit of a risk to hold fusarium infected orchids. However, though, I do have fusarium infected orchids in my collection that I know of. So keeping this one as well, it's not gonna make any difference. It is a vigorous orchid, one of the most vigorous orchids I have. It is my Catasetum. I'm not gonna throw him away. So let's just hope that there was a different infection killing off the pseudobulbs, not fusarium. But we'll see what happens to this pseudobulb, which I will remove the sheets off. I don't like to keep the sheets. So I'll see how this will do. The good thing with Catasetum orchids is that you can propagate them through one single bulb and there's really no setback or minimal setback. They're a little bit different from other orchids in this regard. So if this will get affected as well, I will still have this bulb. I will treat it and hopefully will save the entire plant. Okay, another thing that I will do is just to cut away the oldest roots, the roots coming from this pseudobulb, because they will die off, and I will not repot this orchid in the springtime when I will repot all the others. Most of them are already dead, so everything is okay. I can safely cut them away. I do have quite a few new roots on the new pseudobulb. Nobody will miss the old roots, which are dead anyway. Alrighty, so my orchid is ready. The first thing that I will do is spray the area with hydrogen peroxide 3%. This kills off spores and whatever fungi and bacteria in the area. It is not, however, a systemic fungicide. You cannot use it as such since after the initial reaction, all you'll have left is water. So whatever the orchid will absorb through the root system will be only water. It cannot prevent or treat disease. But as a spot disinfectant, it is wonderful. So I'm just gonna let that fizz a little bit, and while it does so, I want to cut the flower spikes. They're done, even though they might look nice. This is not the color that the orchid should have. And I just want to cut the stress factors at this point. So there you go, one spike off, second spike off as well. This was almost gone. Now, since we're here, let me show you something funny that Catasetum orchids do. Many of them, if not all of them, they shoot out pollen if, let's say, a pollinator comes and takes a sniff of the flower. So just pretend my finger is a bee or something, and I would just go in. Oops, there we go. And the flower just shot me with pollen. But since it's an old flower, you know, it's not so good at it anymore. Let's try another one. Okay, this one looks good. Let's see. It's not functioning properly because the flowers are almost gone. The next thing that I want to do is dry off the area, not the root system, just this cut area, because I want to apply cinnamon on it. Now, cinnamon is an ingredient widely used in orchid growing, and if you don't know what it's good for, well, some sources will say it has some sort of antifungal, antibacterial properties. I cannot test that, so I cannot tell you if it's true. However, though, unwillingly, I tested its water absorption capabilities. Cinnamon is a desiccant. It dries out very well the moisture from the places you put it on. So I want to maintain this area dry so it doesn't reinfect with anything. Therefore, my personal reason for using cinnamon is to keep things dry, not to prevent or kill off bacteria and fungi, because I'm not sure if I am. So I dumped some ground cinnamon, the one you find at the supermarket, on a little, this is a tag, and I want to apply it on this area and this area only, meaning I need to protect the roots. If cinnamon gets on the roots, there is a high chance it's gonna kill them because it desiccates whatever tissue is unprotected. And I did manage to desiccate a flower spike because the flower spike doesn't have that protective cuticle, such as leaves. And well, I lost the flower spike for the season. So I learned my lesson in being careful with cinnamon. So I applied quite a big quantity of cinnamon. Let's dump out the excess. And whatever's left, it should be enough to completely cover my wound. So I will try to maintain this as dry as possible. It's not gonna be 100% possible, but I will try. I'm not gonna wash away the cinnamon from here. So with this done, I need to prepare my pot. So the pot that I'm using is actually the decorative container this orchid was originally planted in. It used to be in a clear plastic pot inside this decorative container. I just drilled my holes and now I'm using fresh leca, and pretty much I'm just gonna pot this orchid like any other orchid. Okay, so the problem is that I have run out of bamboo skewers and this orchid needs stabilization right now since it is so top heavy. Therefore, I decided to just put it in its place in my IKEA stand and just tie it to the stand. See, it's pretty wobbly until I go to the supermarket and actually get some bamboo skewers. Alrighty, so hopefully this will be the end of it. I'm not entirely sure what to say. It might just very well be Fusarium. For those of you who were not on my channel, back then I lost 30-40 orchids total to this disease. They were after the big move, they were very stressed, so their immune system was really low anyway. And ever since then, things have kind of piped down, but from time to time, you know, I still find one infected or possibly X-infected orchid. As you might already know, I'm not a fan of toxic fungicides, pesticides, all of those fun stuff. However, though, there's nothing wrong with using them, I guess, if you don't have a problem with them, and I'll share with you a link down below to Ana Maria's treatment. Apparently it works for her. I don't know what to tell you, I never tried it, and I'm not entirely sure if I will, but if you have issues with Fusarium and would like to try a proper systemic fungicide treatment, you have the link down below. But we'll see what happens in the future. Anyway, it's good that we got rid of that 6 pseudobulb, and whatever the case might be, Fusarium or not Fusarium, you know, that's the course of action, that's what you should do, no matter what type of orchid it is. If it has pseudobulbs and one is rotting, it needs to be removed. So alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this or you found it interesting, and you know the drill. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe to my channel for regular orchid videos, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Also, check the description down below for a link to my second channel, which is a gardening channel. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye! So do you guys ever have these days where you kind of look back at past decision and wonder, what would happen if I decided otherwise? I'm not a person to do that, really, but from time to time I do have these days, and lately I did have a few days. Pretty much I've been looking back at instances or situations in which I could have taken a turn, but I let other people decide for me, and usually I really don't like this. I like to make my own decisions, whether they're good or bad, you know. I like to live with the consequences because that's how I grow, that's how I learn. Unless it's a very dangerous situation, you know, no, nothing of the sorts. Just your typical usual decisions. The fact that I let others decide for me when I was very young, you know, it doesn't always sit well with me, even though maybe for most of the times it might have been in my own benefit. I cannot really help but wonder, what if I was the one who was deciding? Now, don't get me wrong, the only guilty part in this is myself, because it's easy to let other people, such as parents or loved ones, take decisions for you. It is somebody you trust, and it's like when you work for a boss or a leader and they tell you what to do and you do that task with the confidence that it is the right thing. When you don't have a boss or a leader, you kind of need to make that decision process yourself, evaluate if it is a good decision or not, and then you yourself need to do it and live with the consequences. It's not like you can pass the consequences because, hey, it was not your decision. So it's pretty much like that. If you leave somebody take a hard decision for you, you kind of get away from the responsibility in your head. However, though, you don't, because you do have to live with the consequences, not the person who took the decision for you. So I just had a few days of wondering, what if I made a different decision? Because not all of the times the decision my loved ones made for me were the decision I would have made for myself. And given some certain circumstances lately, you know, I cannot just help but wonder, what if I took that decision and did things otherwise? Where would I be? Or more importantly, where would the other people be? Because I'm okay with myself. I learned not to regret anything because there's nothing you can do about it. So hey, why regret it, right? Make the best out of a bad situation maybe, but I do kinda not regret, but feel weird about where other people are right now. What if I took the decisions myself rather than run away from the responsibility, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was very young? So yeah, that's what's on my mind right now. Pretty redundant, I guess, because there's never anything you can do about it, but just cope with whatever you have right now. You cannot really help but imagine how different things would have been.